in geography at Silicon BEd College and a visiting faculty in the Department of Education, University of North Bengal. Ma'am holds dual PhD in geography and education, along with graduate qualifications in geography, education, psychology, and distance education. Her areas include geography, teaching education, educational psychology, guidance and counseling, and current research interests span interdisciplinary studies in teacher education, urbanization, psychology, social change, and adolescent counseling. She has actively engaged in children's science education, Learn for Disadvantaged Students, and Science Congress initiative. Dr. Mitro has a distinguished research career, having supervised PhD and MA dissertations, completed multiple UGC, ICSSR, and government sponsored projects, and presented papers at prestigious international forums, including the Association for Psychological Science, Washington, D.C., and the International Congress of Psychology, Prague, Czech Republic. She is the author of over 50 publications, including 10 edited books, and has been recognized with numerous awards such as the Jawaharlal Nehru Award, Bharat Jyoti Award, Glory of India Gold Medal, Lifetime Achievement Award, IBRF, and Bharat Shiksha Award in 2023, among others. Her contributions as a resource person, keynote speaker, chairperson, and academic leader in national and international seminars have further established her as a respected scholar and educator. Dr. Mitro is also actively associated with professional bodies, including the Association for Psychological Sciences, National Academy of Psychology, Bhagya Google Munch, and the All India Association for Science Teachers. Beyond academics, ma'am plays significant role in editorial work, career counseling, and educational policy discussions, contributing extensively to the advancement of education and social awareness. Ma'am, we warmly welcome you to Atal Online, which is a 6-day program, and we are on the 4th day of the program. Ma'am, over to you.
So thank you, madam, for your loving introduction. You have spoken highly about me. I don't know how far I could able to fulfill all the expectation of all the participants. So good afternoon to all of you. At first, I express my deep regards to the organizer and the college authority for inviting me to this session. And my topic is the future of higher education, opportunities for innovation and globalization. So let me present my PowerPoint. Is it visible? My PowerPoint is visible?
Yes, madam.
It's okay. Okay, thank you. So, the future of higher education, opportunities for innovation and globalization. So, one can approach this future of higher education from two different perspectives. First, the domain of academic service providers of government and private institution, and the second one, the domain of the consumer, that is student in government institutions and private institutions. And these two approaches are inseparably dependent upon each other. The service providers, they have the responsibility to satisfy the needs of the students or consumer faced in contemporary environment, that is social environment and job market. These unit again divided or classified into two parts. One is dealing with the teaching, learning facilities, and the other is the second group that is related to stakeholders who plan and who support the process of teaching, learning. And on the other hand, the consumer, they are they take the best place to learn according to their needs of the day and to develop different skills by contemporary society demands and on the basis of the job market. So I give here much more my focus on, and I have chosen the domain that is teaching, learning. I will follow here the perspective of NEP 2020 and give much more focus on innovation and globalization. Because innovation, we know here the importance of innovation has been highlighted from the perspective of holistic and multidisciplinary education, their education technological use, and online and digital platform research, etc. And the globalization that is related there, the emphasis has been given or highlighted for higher education in the form of internationalization, and at the same time keeping people pride in India. That is, in this part we give much more emphasis on integrated knowledge system. Now, let us take the innovation. So innovation focus on introducing something new to the established process, products, services, or technology with the intention to improve the effectiveness and efficiency, according to Sullivan and Dule in 2008. So here we can recall the total education system that was disrupted during pandemic situation. Even the teachers were not familiar with the online classes such as Google Meet, Zoom classes, or other kinds of platform. So that situation compelled us to innovatively use this platform. So through our mode of communication, now the pandemic situation is over, but we people are still use this mode for saving our time, for and expenditure itself. And experts are also easily available on online mode. Even today's program is an example of this innovation. Actually, our motto, we need to empower our students to innovative behavior at every stage of their learning. For example, some resources are already within the students. That means their interest, their attention, their time, energy, financial support, etc. All these variables vary from one man to another, one student to another student. For example, a student having all the components but fail to make the best use of a particular situation without an innovative mental setup. So the participant, you can agree with me that in this internet-dominated era, a student gets almost all kinds of facilities, all kinds of information through computer or a cell phone. But due to financial constraint, a student may not have able to enjoy this opportunity. Similarly, a student having different access may be required to learn innovative means of how to gather the information. On the other hand, a student unable to access the internet due to financial constraint can overcome these hurdles, these barriers with the innovative use of opportunities. In short, it's innovation that can remove the digital divide. Now, I here have given here some examples. That is through TPAC, technological, pedagogical, content, knowledge. And everybody knows that technology helps the pedagogy. And the content can be communicated effectively with the help of technology. But a situation may arise when the people when the available technology cannot fulfill the pedagogical needs, then an innovation in the pedagogy is made to the best help of the available technology can be used. Actually, this happens, the pedagogy involving technology can be, we can classify it in the three types, that is TPK, technological pedagogical knowledge, PCK, pedagogical content knowledge, and TCK, technology content knowledge. From overlapping of these primary forms, we get the types of knowledge, that is our TPAC. We come to the technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. And the basic philosophy of this is to of this approach is to give priority of technology, but technological knowledge equal importance as compared to pedagogical knowledge and as compared to content knowledge that was already there from previous time. And we prepared this teaching learning, our learning design material with the help of this TPAC. Here also innovation is also required. And I have given here one example from TPAC from my mother's subject also, that is geography. For example, a teacher of geography is going to teach the topic for the class of 9th grade, for example, and he is teaching, going to teach about the lithosphere, the upper part of the earth, that is called lithosphere. And here the objectives for content knowledge, that is the to give definition about the rocks, because rocks is a part of lithosphere, to describe the classification of the rocks. Next, to help the students to identify different kinds of rocks and their characteristics. So let us see how the TPAC is work in including all. So the teacher know what content he is going to teach, and the update knowledge related to that content he must have. And this knowledge would include the knowledge, not only the content, means the all the theories, all the ideas, all the concepts, etc. For this lesson, the teacher should require an in-depth knowledge of rocks, and not only rocks, the whole isostatic balance of the earth, that is called the great depth of knowledge. Then the pedagogical knowledge, that teacher's deep knowledge about the process of how to teach, in what way the teaching will be flexible and smooth. For this, he will fix the different methods, for example, inductive method, deductive method, problem solving method, etc. And last of all, how to use the TLM or technology based materials before the learner, so that it may be more explicit and more realistic. Then this means the knowledge regarding the through PowerPoint presentation, or different kinds of images, pictures that we can avail from Google, etc. So one teacher is confident with these three basic types of knowledge: content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and technological knowledge. Then the total idea, the total part of the methodology will fulfill the learning, and it will help also teaching learning process. So now my next part, pedagogical content knowledge. For example, here the content is classified into different unit, sub-unit. So in our content, we can in educational, any topic of an education or in any part, we can divide, subdivide the whole topic, just like a master planning. The first unit, for here I give here the concept of the rocks, and methodology we use the inductive method, demonstration method, or for higher classes lecture method to describe what is rock, where from the rocks come, like that. Concept of homogeneous rock, here we can use the deductive method, Socratic method, and storytelling method. For rocks and their classification, different methods just like demonstration, observation. In igneous rocks, same. And we can also use the different type of interactive method, because we give nowadays it is called the learning is mainly on child-centered learning. It should be based on teachers, not teachers. It is based on the learner, and the interaction is must be there. So interactive method, discussion method, this kind of methods we can use here. Next, the technological content knowledge. Here content remains same, but instead of pedagogy, we use what kinds of technology. For example, concept of rocks, we can use photographs, scan pictures, or Google images. For homogeneous rock, presentation of the chart through PowerPoint and the cloud-based teaching tools and storage. So many things are available in ready-made form, and we can use this through our PowerPoint. Rocks and their classification through YouTube. There are so many demonstration given by in YouTube, Google Classroom, WebEx, etc. Igneous rocks and different chronological development of the geographical cycle that can be developed through animation, simulations, etc. Through PowerPoint, educational video, virtual laboratory, we can develop develop so many types of rocks, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, etc. And now come to technological pedagogical knowledge. Here, the different methods I have mentioned and technology, what kind of technology as well as we use with the help of the content, then it will fulfill the TPEC, technological, pedagogical and content knowledge at the same time towards the learners. So demonstration method, we can use the technology through, we can demonstrate through PowerPoint presentation, through YouTube, through Google images, educational views, etc. And inductive method, we use different kinds of teaching learning material through laptop, projector, etc. Providing answer key with the help of Google Form in deductive and Socratic. Actually, Socratic method, it is related to question answer method, and observation, that is also PowerPoint, Google Earth. This is the different types of technological platform we can use. Inquiry method, here we can use the smartphones also. Interactive method, online platform, we can use the Google Meet, etc. In this way, at the end the teacher places all the three kinds of knowledge, that is PCK, TCK, TPK, on the same platform, having equal importance. The pedagogical knowledge is also important, technological knowledge is also important, and similarly content is also important in TPEC framework of the concept of the rock that I have mentioned here. Next, the globalization of education. The term globalization was coined by the economist Theodore Levitt in 1985, and one example of this common global phenomena is schooling. Why I have selected this schooling? Because the school system has become more or less around the different parts of the world at same and here we can the process of globalization can be of two types. One is diffusive type and another one is intentional type. Diffusive means a system in which the knowledge has originated at some places or at some situation, and people of other parts get interested and tries to improve those at their places. And the idea thus now gets disseminated spontaneously. And here the owner of the knowledge may or may not exact recognition, but the idea get diffused without any intention of the creator. For example, great ideas from India got diffused to the other countries, and similarly the reciprocal happened from other countries, just like Europe, it comes to India and got diffused. This is a natural process of globalization of education, and we should take the advantage of this natural process, giving it and the environmental thus helps it to keep it flows. Now, the intentional model of globalization. This means in this era of internet and artificial intelligence, the educational practices are getting more and more technology dependent. And on the other hand, the technology is getting more and more centralized and dominated by a few corporate around the world, like Google. Here I mentioned the Google. And in addition to these centralized corporate controlled situation, we can mention it has already, in addition to globalization, comes the economic collaboration and cultural exchange. That means the students from one corner of the world come to the particular country and get education in which the country is specialized. Similarly, the reverse is also there. This exchange program ultimately improves the economy of both the countries. And here, economic uplift of both countries through educational exchange programs is prevailing. For example, in this figure, in the picture, we see that the international students at IIT Kanpur, and another example, that is Tagore's Vishwabharati Shantiniketan. There's some we see the Chinese students. They came at Vishwabharati to gather some knowledge, cultural knowledge, and they came and enriched both ways without any expectation of monetary gain. So this is also the intentional model of globalization. Next, requirements for both this innovation and globalization. I come one by one, and these are the creativity, critical thinkings, communication skill, collaboration, problem solving, adaptability, transfer of learning, emotional intelligence, maintaining mental health. So, first we focus on the creativity. What is creativity? Creative persons have some characteristics, that is fluency. Fluency means the creative persons can recall any events, any situation almost simultaneously and spontaneously. And then come the flexibility. The creative persons have an eye, be it transforming his own point and easily adapt the new situations, the new way of thinking. Then the elaboration, that means a creative person is very much logical. Not only logical sequence is maintained through this process of elaboration. And last one is originality. A creative person survives on the perception of new. Even when the present situation is quite safe and sound, that person develops a new idea side by side. Now, how to inculcate this creativity, or how we nurture this creativity among our students? So, encourage divergent ways of performing tasks, and then reinforce unusual ideas and responses, encourage choices, and involve students in goal setting, and build a feeling of individual control, then provide a realistic time frame for work, then communicate confidence in the students, so reducing concern of failure by using mistakes as positives, then challenge students to solve the problems in new ways, and then encourage self initiative projects by respecting an individual's own way of working. And last one, encourage a spirit of cooperation, collaboration, positive confrontation, and resolution of the conflicts. These are the ways we can enhance our creativity among our students and make the learning material more flexible. Then come the critical thinking. This is also important, critical thinking versus creative thinking. Now, critical thinking, it is focused and purposeful activity. We know that the creative thinking is always related to divergent thinking, and the critical thinking is with the convergent thinking. Actually, two types of thinking. One comes in the different ways, that is divergence, and from different ways to we come conclusion, that is to convergent thinking. So creative thinking relates to divergent thinking and critical thinking to convergent thinking. The person who are identified these critical thinkers have the following characteristics, means they are skeptical, they are active, and they are always open to new ideas. So one can notice that these two types of thinking that are such as these, one cannot be complete without critical thinking. It may not be possible to think thing holistically, perfectly without creative thinking. They are interrelated. So in a real situation, the process is most effective when both the types of thinking are used simultaneously. Now come to communication skill. Communication means that is basically the relationship between the sender and the receiver. This communication skill allow groups to function with its members. It occurs within a context having some effect and feedback. And I mentioned here two types of communication are there. One is referential domain, another is emotive domain. The referential domain, that is related um, to the content of the message. What is the content of the message? That is referential. And what is it relates, emotive domain relates the approach, that is our expressive message. So this referential domain indicates many things. Without the emotive domains, it may not be strong, and without the reciprocal is same. Without referential domain, the emotive domain cannot be stand. Now, communication channels. Actually, three types of channels are there. One is verbal, non-verbal, and the written one. The communication channels, the verbal and written communication, the first one and the third one, these are more important in referential domain. Referential domain means that is content basis message, and the non-verbal domain, this is that relates to verbal non-verbal communication, that meaning gesture, facial expression, etc. And these are very much important, and written communication are most effective for expressing the referral type of information. And both these three are important for quick communication among the learner. Next come the collaboration. This is one of the important requisition for innovation and globalization. So collaboration is a type of interaction in which individuals or team or organizational members work together to reach a common shared goal, activity, or production. So basic requirements of this or preconditions for this collaboration are: parties mutually agree to collaborate, which implies according to their share, and the parties share a goal and keep some common vision during the collaboration process towards the achievement of the common goal. Thus, collaboration is not a mere harmonized organization. Individual goals are not always sufficient. The collective goal is essential, having scope for divergent thinking. So collaboration is one of the most important part of globalization and innovation. Next, come to problem solving. Problem solving may be described as an act which we use when we want to teach certain goal and that goal is not readily available. It may be well defined or ill defined. When it is well defined, well, if the initial state, this state where from we start, is fully defined and relevant information is fully available, then the problem may be well defined. If not, if the initial state is not well defined, the problem is not well identified, then we can call this problem solving is ill defined. So here one can note the interconnectivity between the critical thinking and the creative thinking. When the problems are well defined, it appears that critical thinking works better. That means convergent thinking works better. And when the problems are ill defined, it appears that creative thinking works better. So, for some complicated problems, collaboration may be the only answer. There will be different experts with different specialization of the problem solving, and the collaboration is expected to allow both creative thinking and the critical thinking. I will come later through at the time of discussion of transforming of learning situation. Now, the adaptability. Adaptability is the ability to adjust behavior in changing on uncertain situation. There are three dimensions of this adaptability. The cognitive ability. Cognitive adaptability means when one faced with a challenging or novel situation or an uncertain situation, cognitive ability involves thinking about the situation in different ways of one's thought and the situation or circumstances. And behavioral adaptability, it involves adjusting one's action in order to manage the change in the situation or in the circumstances. And last one, the emotional adaptability. It involves adjusting one's emotion to reduce less helpful emotion. Sometimes you get angry, sometimes you have hopeless. That time, how to manage our emotion, that is emotional adaptability. In an increasing uncertain world, that adaptability allows people to shift to a new direction if the change occurs. And this skill is essential as people navigate a rapidly changing job market and have to become lifelong learners along the way. Now I give much more focus on this transfer of learning. That means the learning situation, when the learning situation of one subject, it facilitates the learning of other subjects, then we can say that the transfer of learning is occurred or it happens. So this happens on the basis of three criteria. Thus, the essential requirement of transfer of learning is existence of similar kind of elements on both the subjects, similarity between the generalization from one subject and also the other subjects drawn based on the two different situation, and formation of the relationship between the whole and parts of the subjects. So in my here I have taken two subjects, one from my subject, that is geography and physical geography, and the other example have taken from physical science. So let us consider the first learning situation from the physical geography. Here I have asked one question, that is the earth a smooth sphere? For this I have drawn, it is not to the scale. So you can imagine from this drawing that this is the some parts of the earth surface, and this is the highest peak. We know the Mount Everest, the highest peak, that's actual height is 29,029 feet, and in meter it is 8848 meter, and the deepest part is Mariana Trench, that is 11,035 meter from the base level or sea level. So you can expect from this situation the highest peak, that is 8848 meter, and the lowest peak, that is 11,035. So it cannot be a smooth one. So for answer this question, is the earth a smooth sphere? So automatically it comes that the earth is a rough sphere. It is not smooth because some undulating is much more in this situation, what we can guess or imagine from this hand drawing picture. Now this is the first approach, and now the second approach, that is, here I am taking the second approach from the same thing, that is when we compare the earth's radius it is called diameter in respect of highest and lowest part. Here it is also not to scale. So in my second approach, the question is the answer is the earth is a smooth sphere. So the first time I already have come to conclusion that the earth is a rough sphere. And in my second approach, I have said the earth is a smooth sphere. So what is the correct answer? In respect of this highest and lowest part, in relation to the diameter of the earth, that is 11,035 meter. So simply it is difficult to imagine the height. It is a little bit high and little bit low. So in conclusion, we can say that the earth is a smooth sphere. So among these two approach, we should prefer the solution depends on upon which one is the correct, whether that is a rough one or it is a smooth one. The solution depends upon our objectives, our comprehension, our perspective. If the objective is to comprehend a particular local area on the surface of the earth, then naturally the first answer is acceptable. And if we consider the whole earth from quite away from the earth or globe, we can easily say that the earth is a smooth one. So this depends upon our objectivity and our comprehension. Now, our second approach, that is from physical science. Sorry.
इसको बहुत शौक है इवेंट होस्ट करने का, एक से एक इवेंट होते हैं और मैम ज्यादातर मैम इज अ कल्चरल कोऑर्डिनेटर आल्सो। ये बोलते हैं कि मेरे को इवेंट होस्ट करना, मैं लीड करूँ। ये उस तरह की बच्ची
कितने गेस्ट लेक्चर्स वगैरह
हाँ।
होते रहते हैं, तो
नहीं
उसमें
संधान
भी
वाले में मैम, जिसमें थोड़ा
नहीं,
सा
उसमें भी और इसमें भी बोलेगी ना, जैसे इंट्रोड्यूस कराना होता है।
आप घर के अंडर में
Archana ma'am,
अपने
kindly mute. Archana ma'am.
So my second learning situation, I am taking one situation from the physical science. Here also I have asked the same question. Is the ball a solid one or it is a hollow one? Actually, I use the ball that you available or you be acquainted with the shot put iron ball that is used at the time of sports day. And my first approach is to understand whether the ball is a solid one or not. One can approach or one can touch the ball with the finger, and the diameter of the finger, what I have taken here, roughly 1 centimeter. And now the iron ball is made of several atoms, and there is a nucleus in each atom, and the distance between these two nucleus and the first orbit electron, that is 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter. So it is very small in relation to our fingertip. Thus the natural conclusion comes that the iron ball is a solid one. In my next approach from physical science, the ball is a hollow one. How it be possible? Here we focus upon the vacant space. This is the vacant space. This is the nucleus, and I have taken this nucleus just like a football having 10 centimeter radius, and this is the first orbit electron, and this gap is like vacant, that is 1 kilometer away from the center of the nucleus. So by seeing this picture, we can easily say the ball is a hollow one, not a solid one. Here again, one faces a question, which one is correct? Which among the two is correct? It can be said both the answers are correct. If the objective is to be completed the iron sphere as a whole, then the first answer becomes acceptable. And if the objective is to understand this small portion of the space, then we can take the second one as a conclusion. So at the first time I say that I have taken two subjects, one from the geography, especially physical geography, and another example of physical science. Now we observe that the some criteria that are same in both the situation, then the transfer of learning is possible if the these three things are have similar meaning. If we will get the same types of elements, same types of generalization, same kinds of relation between whole and part, then we can, it is sure that we can change our learning situation from one subject to another subject. It happens also in the zoology also, because in zoology we use the flora fauna, and in geography we use the flora fauna. Then if we can understand the similar elements, similar generalization, similar relationship between whole and part, then we can transfer easily our knowledge. This is called the team teaching. I already mentioned here the team teaching. That means the subject expert of geography and the subject experts of physics is very much needed here. The geography teacher give details about the subject in great depth, with great depth, and the physical science explains in the same way. It also happens in mathematics, physics, geography with the simple topic of scale. The students often think that the scales of geography is different from the scale of mathematics and also from the scale of physics, but it is actually not. If we understand through the team teaching, it may be possible to transfer from one subject to another subject. Now, the emotional intelligence. It is also important because in modern time we use this emotional intelligence as a measure of distinguishing individuals who are successful in life and as an instrument for reaching the success. And according to Goldman in 1998, major steps for improving these emotional intelligence are self-awareness, self-management, motivation, empathy, social skills, etc. So self-awareness means you practice yourself, your feeling, what you feel, how you feel, instead of blaming others. This is our motto. This is called the self-awareness. You think yourself. And the self-management, you use your energy of decision. When we are often exhausted, we are often hungry, we may respond improperly in different states. So exercise these always in the positive emotional states and control your impulses. This is the self-management. And the motivation, that means identify what inspires you and how you can utilize these inspirations or to force or to push your forward when you are feeling unmotivated. When we feel unmotivated, we often use the motivational books like that. And last, the social skills. Be open about your emotions and desires in a circumstances. Ask for input on the effect of your activities and other valuable criticism yourself. So this is the emotional intelligence we also require for our globalization, for innovation also. And next come maintaining mental health through stress management. It is very important because it is needless to state that students of higher education, they are under several or severe mental stress. The newspaper headlines, if we go through newspaper frequently, inform us about the serious causes of students studying in top ranking institution like IITs and young professional serving in corporate house. Employment in the government sectors are decreasing at a faster rate and faster pace. So the meritorious students are torn between the effort they are giving and the reality. So therefore, in this case, higher education should be helped to develop the skill of some mental skills so that they can manage among the odds. What are that and how to manage these? Some of the simple techniques to attain the targets are the rational analysis. Rational analysis means with the help of these, we try to delink our thoughts from our feelings. We have a rational about our imagination, about our thinking process, about our analysis, different types of situations, etc. And preparing an emotional balance sheet. That means it involves writing a diary and maintain a diary of emotional events objectively and putting impersonal judgment and putting the positive sides, negative side of the daily works you can prepare in this way and or maintain a balance sheet. Then come the negotiations. That means opening up a dialogue with the person with whom there is a controversy. Many times it happens that we are in self conflict, and this is an interesting opportunity when the young one may be motivated to the imagine another person within the young and open up a dialogue among them with your pure team, with your you can make self talk. This is the way out of to maintain how to negotiate with others. Then cognitive restructuring techniques, that here the young one may be advised to think alternative possibilities, alternative life achieving skills, and these young can be cognitively visualize which options lead to better consequences that you can take. The life skill approach. Life skill approach, it includes better. The basic philosophy is that the entire community should practice these skills as a part of mental health education. Nowadays we give much more emphasis on these mental skills for decision making, problem solving, for critical and creative thinking, for communication and interpersonal relation, even intrapersonal relationship, and after all same self awareness and give empathy. This is to maintain the stress management. I am not going in detail. And then in conclusion, we can say, and let us we can now summarize what I have told till now. The young generation is facing the uncertainties of the first changing world of economy, and the expert says that the uncertainties will not go in near future. So the uncertainties are technology and human aspiration linked. Nobody knows that what will innovation will come tomorrow in the technological world. No one stop human demand of innovative purposes. So we have to maintain this uncertainty to lead to gig economy. You know better the gig economy, that means the skill development, and we are not bounding within a single profession. By using our skill we can earn many things when we require according to our demand, according to the demand of the society. We not our demand, not the demand of the society. They ask us, they request us to solve their problem. This is the called gig economy. So our intention is to maintain job, and one should equip with the skills required to solve these complex problems, and at the same time one should be equipped to maintain the mental health. So I can conclude with this. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Devati, ma'am, are you there online? Okay, ma'am, shall I take questions from the participants?
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, you can please ask the participants to ask some questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I will be online within 2 minutes, but actually, I'm traveling right now. By 2 minutes, I'll come online.
Okay. Is
So
that
you
fine?
please handle for
Actually,
2 minutes. I'll be back.
yes, Devarati, if any question, I have to start again for Calcutta. So maintain the time, okay?
Yeah. So, ma'am, we'll just take about a few questions. Participants, those who are online, if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box, or you may switch on your mic and ask the questions straight away.
Where is chat box? Top share করে দিলাম। The future of higher education opportunities, innovation, education, associate professor, Dr. Thank you. So So there is no question, I think. And
Okay.
on my part, I just give some suggestion.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Yeah, you.
Ma'am, how to maintain our mental health, ma'am, when we have a problem in our working environment, ma'am?
Already I have said, good question, and it is a very elaborative question.
It could be,
Just,
yes, ma'am. It's like
what
summing up
should be
the
mentally
whole
prepared?
session of today.
Now the situation is the challenging situation. One must be positive about the situation. Don't face the situation in a negative way. One should be mentally prepared to the face problems which are complex. One just take suggestions from your peer groups, from your friends, and from your parents also. And how to maintain this mental health properly, that you can take help of yoga and meditation, that I already have taken, and regularly I am in meditation, that to maintain mental peace. And you just one should be equipped with the skills required for to solve the complex processes. These are the simple things.
What kind of skills we can develop ourselves, ma'am, when we are not depending on the yoga like practice? Any other skills we can develop to maintain these issues, ma'am?
Pardon, you just tell me what
Yes,
kind.
ma'am. Any other skills which we can develop to handle these kind of situations when we are not practicing yoga?
So you first, now what I have maintained in my previous slides, that is, you just prepare a diary, daily diary. Okay, what are the positive things? What are the negative things? I already have mentioned in by maintaining this, what is called negotiations, and through this you can come the conclusion, or you can make a chart of daily routine. At one time, you have to maintain what in this way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Then thank you, Dr. Neeta Mitra. We're very glad to have you here. I guess
Thank
we
you.
have somebody, Dr. Kanagaraj, saying something. Shall I just read it out to you? I think she's already gone offline. We'll take a break of 5 minutes. You can switch off your cameras and then come back within 5 minutes for the next session. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I request you to take a break for 5 minutes. Don't log off. You can switch off your cameras and then come back within 5 minutes. Sorry. The next session is at 3:30. Okay. So, you can ask questions.
Yes, hello, sir.
Devrati ma'am, you're online?
Sir, our next session will start at 3:30 p.m.
Okay.
So
So,
I
just a
will
second, I'll
take
type it
a
out.
break.
Okay.
Yes. Ma'am, are you there?
She's already
Hello,
signed
ma'am.
off.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'll talk to her later on. Actually, for DM sir session, I had to come to sir's place. That's why I was traveling. That's
Okay, ma'am.
why that. Yes, sir. So, what should we do, sir? We will take a break of
We'll
30
log
minutes.
off. We'll log off and log in again.
Okay. Okay, dear participants, so you can take a break, have your lunch, or take some rest for half an hour. We'll be back again at 3:30 p.m.